Last year, phone scammers drained $12.5 billion from Americans, 70 billion robocalls, 3 billion lost to imposters alone. And the moment one of those calls connects, your stress response fires, suppressing the part of your brain built to protect you. But one word makes 62% of scammers hang up in seconds. Why it works begins with what's already happening inside your brain before you even say hello. Every minute, another American picks up the phone and finds themselves in the crosshairs of a scam. In the last 12 months alone, reported losses from phone-based fraud reached $12.5 billion, an all-time high. These aren't isolated cases or rare events. The numbers stretch into the millions. 70 billion robocalls hit U.S. households in 2022, averaging over 190 million unwanted calls every single day. Even as technical safeguards roll out, the torrent barely slows. Industry trackers clocked 5.1 billion robocalls in just 1 month of 2023, and the annual total remains above 50 billion, a relentless barrage that wears down even the most vigilant. Within that flood, imposer scams have carved out a $2.95 billion slice of the damage. These are the calls that pose as government agents, utility companies, or even family members in distress. The so-called grandparent scam has become a staple, with seniors pressured into sending thousands of dollars to a voice claiming to be a loved one in trouble. Each time the phone rings, there's a real risk that the next voice on the line is a professional manipulator, armed with a script designed to bypass skepticism and trigger panic. The sheer volume of attacks means that no one is immune, not by age, income, or geography. The relentless nature of these calls erodes defenses. With billions of dollars at stake and billions of calls in circulation, the threat is not just persistent, it's overwhelming. The next step is understanding how this constant pressure affects the mind and why even the most rational people can be caught off guard. A scammer's strongest weapon isn't technology, it's chemistry. The moment a fake agent or panicked relative launches into their script, the brain's alarm system fires. Within 2 minutes, cortisol levels can spike by 28%, according to lab studies on simulated scam calls. This stress hormone primes the body to react, not reflect. As cortisol surges, the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain that weighs risks and controls impulses, loses up to 20% of its normal activity. That's the region responsible for asking, does this make sense, or should I check this out first? Under stress, those questions fade. Instead, the urge to comply takes over, especially when the caller pushes for action without pause. Scammers exploit this window with scripts that never let up. Their opening lines are engineered to keep victims off balance, threatening arrest, claiming a loved one is in danger, or warning of imminent account closure. The entire pitch is delivered in 30 to 45 seconds, often without letting the target get a word in. This momentum isn't accidental. It's a behavioral tactic designed to prevent analytical thought and keep the victim moving toward a costly mistake. Older adults face an added risk. Age-related changes in brain chemistry mean the prefrontal cortex is already working at a lower baseline. When stress hits, the drop in logical processing is even sharper. That's one reason the so-called grandparent scam is so effective. 41% of seniors who lost $10,000 or more reported this emotional con. The scammer's pressure, combined with a vulnerable brain state, creates a perfect storm for compliance. The result is a cycle: relentless calls, scripted urgency, a surge of stress, and a brief window where even the most rational person can be manipulated. Breaking this cycle requires more than skepticism. It demands a way to interrupt the scammer's momentum and re-engage the brain's analytical engine before any damage is done. One word has the power to snap a scam call in half: verify. In a controlled field test by the AARP Fraud Watch Network, 120 seniors were coached to interrupt scam pitches by saying, "I need to verify." The results were immediate. 62% of scammers abandoned the call within 30 seconds. That's not a guess, it's a measured response, captured across dozens of real-world attempts. In most cases, the scammer didn't even try to argue or recover. The moment the word verify dropped, the script collapsed. Some calls ended in as little as 8 seconds. This isn't just a fluke or a one-off story. The same pattern played out in law enforcement training simulations and community field trials. The reason is simple. Scammers rely on momentum and emotional pressure. When a target demands verification, the call shifts from panic to proof. And most fraudsters aren't prepared for that. The single word breaks their control and signals that the person on the other end won't be an easy mark. With 62% of attempts ending almost instantly, the data leaves little doubt. Verify is a circuit breaker, not just a suggestion. Next, real cases show exactly how this plays out in the wild. Helen Carter, a retired school teacher from Ohio, picked up her phone one afternoon to a voice claiming to be an IRS agent. The caller's tone was clipped, official, and urgent, a supposed tax debt of $3,200 with the threat of legal action if she didn't act immediately. Helen felt her heart race, the kind of anxiety anyone might feel when the government is mentioned. But instead of panicking, she paused and said, "I need to verify your badge number before we go any further." For a moment, the line went silent. Then, without another word, the caller hung up. The entire exchange, from demand to disconnect, lasted less than 8 seconds. This isn't just Helen's story. In 2023 alone, Americans lost $2.7 billion to imposter scams, with government impersonators leading the pack. The IRS script is designed to trigger fear and compliance, especially in older adults who grew up trusting authority. But Helen's request for verification broke the scammer's momentum. It forced the caller out of their rehearsed script and into unknown territory, a place where evidence, not emotion, takes over. That single interruption proved more powerful than a polite refusal or an argument. By shifting the conversation from panic to proof, Helen avoided becoming another statistic. Her quick action shows how one word can dismantle a high-stakes con in seconds. Samuel Rivera's phone rang just after breakfast. The caller claimed to be from the IRS, warning of a $5,000 tax penalty and threatening immediate legal action. Samuel's first instinct was panic, but he caught himself and said, "I'm going to verify this with the IRS before I do anything." The line went dead in less than 9 seconds. Samuel's story is not rare. Field studies show that in tech support scam scenarios, 71% of scammers hang up within seconds of hearing the word verify. David Liu, a small business owner, faced a different kind of pressure. An urgent call warned that his company's network was compromised and demanded remote access to fix a supposed ransomware attack. The price for help? $12,500. David paused and asked for the caller's Microsoft certification number so he could verify it independently. The scammer stalled, then disconnected. David's business was safe, and not a cent changed hands. These cases show how the same word can break the script, whether the threat is aimed at a family's love or a company's survival. The verification queue works across emotional and professional scams, forcing fraudsters to abandon their playbook. The data is clear. Even when the stakes are high, a single question can reclaim control. That's why the next step is a simple 3-part defense that anyone can use. The first move is simple: end the call. When a stranger demands money or information, say, "I need to verify this independently," and hang up. This phrase is a proven trigger. Scammers count on uninterrupted momentum, and the moment you mention verification, most will disconnect. Don't argue, don't explain, and never stay on the line to debate. After hanging up, look up the official phone number for the agency or company the caller claimed to represent. Use only numbers from trusted sources, like an official website or a card in your records. Calling back through these channels puts control back in your hands and shuts out the fraudster. Blocking the scammer's number is just the start. Reporting the attempt at reportfraud.ftc.gov closes the loop and helps authorities track patterns in real time. Each report feeds into a national database, alerting both regulators and phone carriers about active scam campaigns. Over 75% of flagged numbers are added to the Do Not Call registry or blocked by carriers within 48 hours. This step doesn't just protect you, it strengthens the system for everyone. By taking a moment to file a report, you turn a personal defense into a community shield, making it harder for fraudsters to recycle the same tactics. Right now, scam calls siphon billions from American households as stress overrides reason. Verify stops the manipulation cold because evidence shatters their script. Disengage, verify independently, then block and report at reportfraud.ftc.gov. Share these steps with your family. The real defense starts when awareness spreads faster than the scams. Stay alert.